Good evening, voters. Today's debate is one which will make us cringe, one that will make us question the politicians that we put into the powers of corridor. Over the last few weeks, we have heard a series of comments made by Netas, one more bizarre than the other. They've ranged a wide variety of topics. They've been comical, insensitive, some have been downright sexist and bigoted. One MLA even went to the extent of threatening violence. In an environment of increasing mob violence, lynching, crime against women, a society that unfortunately is becoming increasingly polarized, where hate is being peddled as politics, instead of being the leaders who make India a better place, our Netas are adding fuel to the fire by making these kind of comments. Everywhere, on the streets, in workplaces, in living rooms, in neighborhoods, and on the internet, there is a permissive environment for hate speech and violence. So today we ask, is this why we vote our Netas into power? Is bigotry becoming a new normal in India? Take a look first at some of these outrageous comments.
Bigoted Netas and their bigoted remarks, something that India can never seem to get enough of. The recent one to this list comes from BJP MP Hariom Pandey, who linked population increase to lynching and Muslims.
आज की जनसंख्या अगर देखी जाए तो मुसलमानों की सबसे ज़्यादा होती जा रही है, जिस पर कोई भी अंकुश नहीं आता है। वो कहते हैं उनके धर्म गुरु कि हमारे इसमें नसबंदी या परिवार नियोजन या जनसंख्या पर नियंत्रण करने का कोई वो नहीं है, तो उसके पीछे आतंकवाद, व्यभिचार, अत्याचार और मॉब लिंचिंग और तमाम तरीके के अपराध हमारे देश में, हमारे प्रदेश में बढ़ रहे हैं।
That's not all. Just a day earlier, another BJP MLA from Balia, Surinder Singh, who is infamous for making such statements, sparked a debate by saying that every Hindu couple must have at least 5 children so as to not become a minority.
भारत में हिंदू ही अल्पसंख्यक हो जाएगा और अन्य लोग बहुसंख्यक हो जाएंगे। कम से कम 5 पैदा करें तो भारत और भारतीयता की ताकत बढ़ी रहेगी। हिंदुस्तान में हिंदुत्व और सनातन धर्म बहुत ही बना रहेगा, बलवान बना रहेगा, नहीं तो भारत निश्चित रूप से दुर्बल होगा।
Well, don't be surprised, because the list seems to be never ending.
3 और 4 बच्चों की जो माँ है उसके साथ कोई रैप करे, आज जिसके पिता के साथ लाठी चल रहा है उसकी लड़की के साथ कोई रैप करे, ये मनोवैज्ञानिक आधार पर मैं कह सकता हूँ बिल्कुल असत्य है।
कांग्रेस में ठुमके लगाने वाले जो हैं वही ठुमके लगाएंगे, ये तो उन्हीं को देखना है कि ठुमके लगाने हैं कि चुनाव लड़ना है।
Today, Hariom Pandey, the BJP MP from Uttar Pradesh, said that the population of Muslim is the reason for the rise of mob lynching and terror activities in the country. And if this population is not controlled, then the Muslims will ask for another Pakistan. The question now remains is that does the BJP endorse these statements by their leaders, or will an action be taken against them? Or has bigotry become the new norm in secular India?
So viewers, did we vote these people to power only for them to forget their responsibilities? Is this bigotry in secular India the new norm that we must all live with? The debate begins now.
All right, well, let me welcome my panel at today. Vaibhav Agarwal, leader of the BJP, Geeta Bhatt, RSS supporter, Ghanshyam Tiwari, spokesperson of Samajwadi Party, Kamal Mitra Chinoy, political analyst, and Sanjay Jha, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Welcome to all of our panelists today. Kamal Mitra Chinoy, let me start with you first. We've seen no dearth of our leaders, our Netas, who have been making these outrageous, all of these bizarre comments in the last few weeks.
1, 2, 3.
As a political analyst, what is your view? Is this what we have put our Netas into the powers of corridor for?
Look, these comments have been made before also, but now we are in the run-up to a very major election in 2019, and therefore people either to get more publicity and support for their party or their cause, or in order to make a larger coalition, or just to get attention, are making very careless and stupid comments. And this is not true only of politicians. This is also true of ordinary people who have been taken aback or taken over by these comments and are reacting in their own way. And so this is extremely worrying, and it is not good for the situation in the country now or in the next year to come, where a big challenge of how to choose our netas, how to have a kind of government which will help the people, develop the people, and take away all the nastiness that has come into politics today.
Vaibhav Agarwal, let me come to you, because we've been seeing a lot of comments, and this of course cuts across party lines, so it does no good for anybody to point fingers and attack different parties, because across party lines we've seen bizarre comments, bigoted comments, racist, sexist, you name it, and we've seen those kind of comments coming in. But Vaibhav Agarwal, I want your opening remarks.
There can be many reactions to something like this. I won't call it bigotry, but I think it'll be I'll call it expression of thought without weighing either the consequences, or simply put, expression of thought without understanding that how the changing times have also changed the expression's feeling of the value. So I think, and it definitely starts with the leaders, and it definitely brings it down. And this is not just BJP. I won't say that my party does not have loud mouths, and it's a fact. But the idea here is that we as leaders, as politicians, need to be very careful, because in India, our common people, our citizens, make us leaders because they look up to us for leadership. If this is the kind of leadership that we will provide, then I don't think we are setting a right example, and then it's pointless for us to, and I'm starting from the national level politics to then the state level politics, and then the district, and then, literally like that, and not just metaphorically, because if we at the national level, at the helm of affairs, cannot speak right, cannot speak in the right context, then how do we even expect our local leaders, our Pradesh leaders, or district leaders to actually follow? Because they're just going to look up to you and say, agar wo bol sakta hai, to I can also say. So it's literally a comparison for leadership, and we all follow each other. So I think what we need to do is, as a society collectively, I firmly believe that, if you were to do a wrong pronunciation for a word, some people take an offense if I was to correct you. But then we need to start being matured enough to understand that I'm not correcting you because I want to be right. I'm correcting you because we all want to be right. And we want to set the
don't
right
you think you're downplaying, before I open this up, don't you think you're downplaying these kind of incidents, Vaibhav Agarwal? I'm just going to quote some of them. We had Yogi Adityanath, Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, who claimed that incidents of mob lynching are given unnecessary importance, and it is making a mountain out of a molehill. You then had a BJP MLA state that if I become Home Minister, I will order to shoot intellectuals. How can you say that these incidents are as simple as mispronouncing a word and somebody trying to correct that? These are serious comments that were made, and they are clearly meant to incite violence.
Okay.
They're clearly violence inciting.
Avni, I totally buy your point, and I totally agree to what you're saying. Now comes the political aspect, and let's give weightage to who said what. Now let's get scientific on it and maths, and let's do a little maths on it. So, when Yogi Adityanath says something like that, how many points will it carry? 1 out of 10. But when Manish Tiwari was to say that the country is going to dogs, or when Akhilesh Yadav says Gujarat ke gadhe, what is the weightage will you give to those comments? When I'm attacking the Prime Minister of the country, I think what Yogi Adityanath said has no comparison in terms of the weightage that we have to give to the comments when you attack the very Prime Minister, very head of the country. So I think we shouldn't really go there.
Vaibhav Agarwal,
so I'm not downplaying it. I'm very practically saying something that I feel.
Do you even understand the magnitude of what Yogi Adityanath said? He has said that it is okay. He has given somewhat of a green signal saying it's okay, these are small incidents and these shouldn't be taken so seriously. That is clearly what he's saying. And when a leader, when a chief minister of a state
Avni,
says something like that, what kind of a message, what kind of a message does that send to people who take comments of leaders at face value?
Point well taken, but again that brings me down to the fore an example in terms of the weightage that you're giving to each comment and who has made it. For example, when a member of parliament comes up and says that there is caste couching in the parliament, what is the kind of weightage will you give to that comment when you scientifically give weightage or the magnitude, you know, to Yogi Adityanath's comment? I mean, you know, so this is to each is to err. We cannot really do that, but my argument will win it when we really look at it from a neutral perspective and a scientific perspective. Trust me, my argument will have weightage on it.
All right, I'm going to open this up. Sanjay Jha, let me come to you. And we had this conversation just a couple of days ago on a specific comment that was made. But that aside, we've seen enough number of comments come out from people within the Congress party as well. What is your response?
Avni, let me be very frank with you. It is true that there have been times when certain Congress leaders have made irresponsible statements, and I'm saying that in all candidness. But let me also be forthright here. While it's very easy to, generalize and say all political parties are guilty, and yes, all political parties are guilty, but there is a rider. And the rider is that over 90%, and I can tell you that because I have hard data, of the most vituperative, vile, venal statements have come from the RSS, BJP, Vishwa Hindu Parishad and the ABVP category. It's a Sangh Parivar that has indulged in perhaps the most horrific language imaginable. Now don't laugh, I didn't interrupt you, so let me finish. Now the point I wish to make, Avni, is this. Just before coming onto your program, I checked on my Twitter and there is a BJP MP who's made a comment that, the rising Muslim population is the reason why lynchings are happening, and therefore Muslims should not reproduce. I mean, that's exactly his inference. I mean, how disgusting and sickening that is. And from what I read, I could be wrong, this man is a member of parliament.
Yes.
Now, imagine the family of Rakbar Khan. Just think for a moment. Why don't all of us on this show, for a moment, think if Rakbar Khan's family is watching this show and tells themselves that we have lost somebody who was brutalized to death, perhaps even killed by the cops, by the government of the BJP, and now the leaders come and say the problem is that we have a family. I mean, how callous and crude can you get? And I believe that no matter how much we talk, the image of India for 2018 and perhaps for the entire 5 years of Mr. Modi's government will be a Harvard-educated, McKinsey, kind of former employee, IIT, Mumbai,
Sanjay, I'm going to interrupt you there because you spoke about 90% of the comments, the kind of comments are made by, at the most vile and vicious kind of comments. Here is Dharamveer Goyat, who said 90% of rape cases are consensual. This, to my mind, is one of the most vile comments that can come. Somebody actually saying that 90% of rape cases are consensual. What does that even mean, and how dare somebody speak like that?
Absolutely, absolutely. The other day when you asked me this question on Mr. Gandhi being abused by one of the BJP MPs, I don't even know what his name is. Can you imagine mocking the LGBT community and displaying such a vulgar homophobia? I mean, can you imagine if anybody who's hearing this program is part of the LGBT community, they will say that the government of the day treats us with such scorn. I mean, the only hope you have is the courts. And God only knows, even if the courts pass a verdict ultimately in favor, you still have a situation where the police can still carry on with its own, unlimited, unhinged criminality. You have a problem here. And, Vaibhav is trying to make these motherhood statements. But Vaibhav, let me tell you, bite the bullet. Your party leaders are becoming
I like how you completely diverted and averted the point that I was making, and you have gone back to your attack on the BJP.
Sanjay ji, I don't have to remind you when Imran Masood said, Modi ke tukde tukde karke kutton ko khila dunga. Do you have an explanation for that? Imran Masood is a congressman on record.
Yeah,
he's one of the most stalwart leaders in Congress.
I will give you an answer. Avni, can I answer that?
Can you condemn that first? Before you give a political answer, can you condemn that first?
I'm answering it.
Can you condemn that first before you give a political statement?
If you keep quiet,
Sanjay Jha, quick response from you, and then I'm going to go across to my other panelists.
That's the difference between
let Sanjay Jha respond. Let Sanjay Jha respond quickly, and then I want to go to the other panelists. Sanjay Jha, very quickly.
मैं झप्पी भेज रहा हूं आपके पास. मैं आपको झप्पी भेज रहा हूँ, तरह हमारे दिल में प्यार है यार, इतना
नहीं
इतना
चाहिए भाई साहब, नहीं
गुस्सा,
चाहिए।
Sanjay
इतना
Jha,
आक्रोश
if
मत
you can give
करो,
a quick
बिगड़
response,
जाएगा।
Sanjay Jha, and
Anyway,
then we'll go to the other
yeah.
panelists. Yes.
Avni, let me answer. Guess, who condemned it? Mr. Rahul Gandhi. You know what? Sambit Patra, their BJP spokesperson, spoke the most derogatory and disgusting language against Mr. Gandhi. I tweeted Narendra Modi and tagging him and saying, do you approve of this? The Prime Minister is still silent. This is the message that Narendra Modi is sending to his own spokesperson who's insulting my leader. This is the party's
If
culture.
you're so
This is
convinced,
your
All right,
political
all
culture.
right, all right.
BJP.
Sanjay
कहाँ
Jha,
पे
Vaibhav
छुपाओगे
Agarwal,
यार?
if I can
यहाँ आके
request
बकवास
both of you to
करो।
please hold on. I'm going to go across to Ghanshyam
पकड़ा
Tiwari
जाओगे।
to weigh in on this.
बेतुके बातें
Ghanshyam
नहीं
Tiwari,
करते हैं।
thank you for waiting patiently. Go ahead. We've seen enough comments coming in from various members of your party as well, and the most recent being by Azam Khan.
Well, there are three things. One, if you look at comment and how respected organizations like Association for Democratic Reforms are responding to it, they presented a report on April 25 that listed 57 members of parliament and MLAs who have hate speeches cases against them. 27 of them are from BJP, 10 of them are sitting members of parliament, 17 of them are MLAs. These are BJP MPs and MLAs. While our party has one such case against it. So that is the magnitude. Second, there is one thing that a statement is made and there is public criticism. The media, various people ask for condemnation, even apology, and sometimes wherever an apology is due, apology is given by leaders. But there's another thing when you transform propaganda into policy. What you are talking about of Yogi Adityanath is transformation of propaganda into policy. Propaganda is the only agenda that has played out in Uttar Pradesh. When their government could not, where Uttar Pradesh police had to seek forgiveness in the Hapur lynching case because police was seen part of the crime. And today the Chief Minister stands up and says, "इसमें बड़ी बात क्या है?" He compares that saving the animal and saving the human being is the same thing. He has been elected by voters of Uttar Pradesh. For him to say that it is equal responsibility is abdicating responsibility, and that plays out in Rajasthan. So I see a pattern. I see one, that there is wild propaganda. Two, state has co-opted that propaganda, and three, top leaders of BJP are justifying that propaganda, and that is where India is at a diabolical point where you do not know which government would you turn to. In Rajasthan, which government would you turn to? In Uttar Pradesh, tomorrow
From the question, what is it that your party does when leaders make such kind of comments? What is it that you do to pull up people who make these kind of comments to ensure that such comments are not made again and again? What is it that you do?
Well, there are three things. One is that whenever there is public condemnation, we sit there, face the public condemnation, and that is what parties have to do. Parties cannot run away, justify these comments. But look at BJP; they will justify each and every comment. Second, we do not promote such leaders and don't make them chief ministers. What does BJP do? Yogi Adityanath rose in power, became the chief minister on the track record of hate. What else? Well, the organization Hindu Yuva Vahini that he founded. What kind of vigilantism that is the organization practicing? And third, at a system level, we do not co-opt the propaganda. BJP state after state is co-opting the propaganda like Love Jihad. They are co-opting the propaganda with respect to cow by Chief Minister making such statements and letting go of the mobs.
All right, I'm going to go across to Geeta Bhatt, who's an RSS supporter as well. Geeta Bhatt, your comments. We recently had a comment by Indresh Kumar, who said that if the practice of eating cow meat is stopped, lynching can be stopped. Your comments.
Yeah, Avni, first of all, see, people's representatives in our country have been, at times making very extreme kind of comments, sometimes bizarre, sometimes controversial. And, though our constitution gives all of us a right of freedom of expression, the responsible citizens, especially those who are part of the temple of democracy, our parliament, they need to be cautious of the words that they choose. And of course there are times when they also get quoted out of context. So these kind of things do happen. But the question that Avni you have posed to me, first of all, two facts that we have to keep in mind is that there are 21 states in our country, where cow slaughter is banned. Let me bring that to your notice. So, first point is that isn't it the responsibility of all the governments to make sure that if there is any illegal smuggling of cow meat which is taking place, then that needs to be checked, and those who are involved in it, they must be punished.
Geeta, but
second,
is it the
of course, if there is
the responsibility of a mob who, on the rumor of any kind of anything to do with cow, is it the responsibility to go and kill people?
Please let me finish. I have waited for a very long time, Avni, very patiently. At least give me the time to speak. I am coming to those points also. And since you have raised it, now I would bring here also one example. Like there are a lot of examples which have been quoted in this program before. That if you remember, just a couple of months back in Karnataka, you know, the state government, you know, total apathy of state government we had seen when a software engineer called Nandini, you know, when as a dutiful citizen, she went and she reported to the police regarding the cow slaughter, illegal cow slaughter. It is banned, you know, in Karnataka. Illegal cow slaughter was taking place, and when she reported, do you know what happened to her? What kind of a mob, you know, surrounded her, broke down her cars. She was just lucky enough to escape death. You know, her bones were broken. So isn't it the responsibility of the state government to make sure to protect the city? And this is not one case. There are almost more than 30 cases in last 20 years which have been reported. So although I am not justifying what happened you know, in Alwar or anywhere in the country, of course anyone who tries to take law in their hand, they must be punished. But please do not try to, please make sure that just as when terrorism is being not equated to any religion, similarly lynching should not be equated. Don't make a law and order situation or, you know, social problems which are existing in the society, don't try to polarize the society based on this.
I want to make two very quick
Yes,
points.
yes, yes,
Avni,
Ghanshyam
what she has said is false, so I'd also like to speak.
Yes,
I challenge you. I have to spoken the truth. You can take out the tape. She has been, that lady has been record on
all right. Geeta Bhatt, let's give Anand a chance to respond.
You can say what you want to say.
I'll come to you.
Please do not use these kind of words that I am saying something, and I am not a lady, I have a name. I am Dr. Geeta Bhatt.
All right, I'm
Geeta
Professor
Bhatt, can I please
Kamal
request you to allow the others to respond? Ghanshyam Tiwari, you first, and then Kamal Mitra Chinoy. Yes, Ghanshyam Tiwari, please go ahead.
Well, my two very quick points is, I believe, and this is a partyless comment, I believe that such wild statements and such propagandists coming to the top and shaping the public sphere debate means that this is a cover fire for bad governance. Look at the country. Our towns and cities are failing under simple rainfall. Our cities, governments across the states are failing to protect women. Women feel insecure. Our education systems are failing. And on that, allow me to complete. Allow me to complete. I did not interrupt you.
We allow
what
people
I'm trying
to
to
finish
say
their
is,
comments.
when you start saying that even a rumor has to be taken by the state and has to be prevented, you are asking too much of a state that is not even able to provide basic governance. Name one state of BJP that has been able to provide governance. And when in parliament it is debated, when Ravi Shankar Prasad, the minister, soft defends or almost soft states postcard news, a wild platform, and he soft states somebody who has been called out for his wild statement. It shows
debate rather than
what
about
propaganda is taking
Avni, that is what I would suggest.
All right,
it's your debate.
Kamal Mitra Chinoy, you wanted to make a point quickly.
Yeah, listen, number one on cow slaughter, which is a very useful example for creating havoc.
Yes.
Article 48 of the Constitution, which is a directive principle, puts a ban on all cows, calves and milch and draft cattle, which include the buffalo, the mithun, the yak, other bovines. So there is no categorical ban on only one bovine, that is the cow. It is, if people want to follow the Constitution, then they should agree to slaughter of buffaloes, of yaks, of mithuns, etc. Secondly, it's a directive principle. It is not binding as a fundamental right. But what has happened is that all this is left aside, and cow lynching has become a symbol, basically, of non-Hindus who are attacked as being not patriotic Indians. Now, in our country, of course, the Hindu community is by far the largest, But you have other minorities which are quite large by international terms. The Muslims, for example, at 14.4% and so forth. So I think it is very dangerous, this kind of mob lynching, because it is based on a belief that the minorities or others who oppose them are basically anti-Indian and anti-Indian characteristics and anti-Indian habits. And a country like India, which is so multifarious and so multiple in its views and attitudes, it is terrible that this has happened, and it is not accidental that this is happening on the run-up to the elections next year. So
absolutely, and just to extend the point that you're making there,
and that is why it's so serious.
For anybody to take law into their own hands without getting into specifics of communities being attacked or any specifics at all, anybody taking law into their hand in the garb of cow raksha is something that really seriously needs to be looked at. And the kind of comments that we've seen coming out from several of our leaders, including Yogi Adityanath, on these incidents of lynching, make people feel that perhaps it's not as big a crime and it's perhaps okay to do that. And my question now back to Vaibhav Agarwal is that what is it that the BJP is doing to ensure that its leaders, its netas, do not make comments that incite violence, that incite this kind of a mentality? And what is it that you're doing?
Okay, excellent question. Now that you wanting to only put BJP in the dock, I would now, of course, till now I did not give a political retort to anyone, did not name anyone, but I will have to do it. It's it's unavoidable. So Avni, Digvijay Singh, Manish Tiwari, Rahul Gandhi, Akhilesh Yadav, Azam Khan, just at the top of my mind, are regular people who rant. Regular people, So when we look at it, law looks at something like regularly being repeated as habitual offenders. Now, if it's BJP against 10, now BJP, not one leader has come up and said anything derogatory about anyone. BJP, no leader has repeatedly said anything derogatory about anyone. They have only expressed their views in part scientific nature, which may be in part or in full, and it is up for debate. And you can laugh all you want, Sanjay, but it is not about English.
All right, Vaibhav Agarwal, just your point. You mentioned that BJP, nobody from BJP has made any comment, any derogatory comment on anyone. I'm going to ask my director to play out this particular soundbite by Ashwini Kumar Chopra. Can we have that, please? All right, we're going to get to that bite, but I'm just to tell you what Ashwini Kumar Chopra said. He was asked a particular question on how somebody is going to be in the next 2019 elections, and this happened to be a lady that he was being asked about, and he said, "Congress mein thumke lagane wali wo hai." He called a woman thumke lagane wali when asked about somebody's political ambitions. And is that not derogatory, Vaibhav Agarwal? Is that not derogatory on so many levels to women, to a person, to a human being?
Avni, Ashwani Kumar Chopra, 1 minute. 1 minute. If we are looking at a member of parliament and a senior leader who's saying that in public discourse against another public discourse, both of certain reputation, I don't know if anyone on the panel is a lawyer, but from my experience I can say that there is an FIR that can be filed with conviction in 506 and 502. I don't see a reason why there shouldn't be an FIR in that case. And if there isn't an FIR, then we need to understand that there is no one specific who's been named in this. This is a generic statement. So if it's derogatory, it's derogatory. I have no two qualms about accepting it. You asked me what BJP as a party is doing it. BJP as a party, when Narendra Bhai Modi comes to a platform and in a rally, makes a standing statement and said, I disown anyone and everyone who talks about, who gets into lynching, who talks about cow vigilante, pseudo cow vigilante, who talks about bigotry, who talks about disrespectful nature, etc., etc. And he's been on record. Has Rahul Gandhi said anything which is not political? Or has Samajwadi Party or Behan Mayawati or anyone else in the opposition said anything which is not political?
Yes, Sanjay Jha, go ahead. You can respond to what Vaibhav Agarwal is saying.
Requesting all the political parties to collectively come together and take a call on it.
Yeah.
At least I have the decency to do that.
Sanjay Jha, go ahead.
Okay. Avni, it's time we bit the bullet instead of just pussyfooting around. Let me tell you. Political culture of a party starts at the very top. I don't know whether you saw it, but if anybody who saw the no confidence motion, they saw India's big Pradhan Sevak, Mr. Narendra Modi, trying to mimic the former Congress President Srimati Sonia Gandhi. To my mind, that is one of the most abysmal lows in India's parliamentary history. Second example, and this is why I agree with Vaibhav Agarwal. It's a political leadership that makes the culture. Gujarat elections. Narendra Modi actually had the audacity to call Dr. Manmohan Singh an anti-national, treacherous man who was conniving with Pakistan to anoint Ahmed Patel ji as the chief minister. I mean, what kind of a filthy low can politics get to? And when the Congress asked him to apologize, much later in Parliament,
Siddaramaiya called Congress Chief Minister Sanjay Jha called Pradhan Mantri.
Sanjay Jha, what about the comment that Shashi Tharoor made about Taliban in Hinduism? What about that comment by Shashi Tharoor?
You know, who all do you want me to name? Azam Khan,
Vaibhav Agarwal,
Sanjay Jha, and I
have the decency to own it up and let's work on it collectively.
I'm disappointed.
Don't try to gain political points.
Avni, as an anchor, it's your job to make sure.
Vaibhav Agarwal, can you please allow Sanjay Jha to finish what he's saying? Sanjay Jha, go ahead, finish what you're saying, and then my specific question on the comment that Shashi Tharoor made about, and we'll hear out that bite as well.
I will answer your question. But I want the Mirror Now viewers to know that political culture that, people sit in the drawing rooms and complain about, they should know where it starts from. 50 crore ka girlfriend, Narendra Modi said it. Just because he becomes Prime Minister, he doesn't become a first among equals. He insulted a lady who's now dead. Is that the language a politician should speak? Now, did you hear that? Did you hear that from Vaibhav Agarwal? Did you hear it? This is an open manifestation of the vulgarity of this party. And I think it's about time we address them. I can't come for a TV show at 10:30 on a Friday and pretend to be politically correct.
All right. Let's listen into this. Vaibhav Agarwal has said that we are targeting the BJP. Let's listen into this bite of what Shashi Tharoor had to say.
Hinduism BJP സംസാരം ഹിന്ദു രാഷ്ട്ര സംസാരം ശരിക്കും ഡേഞ്ചറസ് ആണ്. ഈ രാജ്യത്തെ നശിപ്പിക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുന്ന ഒരു സംസാരമാണ്. പാകിസ്ഥാനിൽ ചെയ്ത മണ്ടത്തരം ലോകം മുഴുവൻ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. ആ രാജ്യത്തിന്റെ സ്റ്റാൻഡിംഗ് എന്താണ് ലോകത്തിന് വിചാരിച്ചോളൂ.
Yes, Sanjay Jha, your response.
Okay, now I don't know Malayalam, but I have heard Dr. Tharoor's
I'm sure you know what this bite is about. If you want me to translate, I can do that for you.
Can I answer your question?
Yes.
I'm just answering you. I mean, why doesn't everybody have a sense of humor? I was just answering that. I said I don't know Malayalam as a line to break the tension on the panel right now. The larger point that Dr. Tharoor made. What is the point he made, Avni? I'm not trying to say that, you should use one term or not use another term. But he actually gave a warning to where we are headed under the current Narendra Modi regime. He said, look, Pakistan and India became independent at the same time. Look where India is today and look where Pakistan is. You know why? Because fundamentally, we haven't allowed a majoritarian religious dogma and demagoguery to overtake our debate. India remains a lovely, brilliant, culturally, pluralistic society. And he basically said that Pakistan has failed. Don't take inspiration from Pakistan because the world will then malign us. The BJP obviously twists it because they get a propaganda point.
Okay,
but look at what they do to us.
All right.
They tell anybody in India, if you criticize the government, you're anti-national, go to Pakistan.
All right, Vaibhav Agarwal, Sanjay Jha, 1 minute. I will come to you, Vaibhav Agarwal. I will come to you. But my point is this. I have a point to make. May I please make a point on my own show? Vaibhav Agarwal, may I please make a point on my own show?
During a very big conclave.
My point is this. My point is this. We are here dissecting the comments that all these leaders have made, that various people have made. We are going into the layer, under layer, under layer, and reaching 3 layers down. But the fact is, a big chunk of this country takes these comments at face value. And that is where the problem is. Yes, we can go down deeper and deeper and dissect different comments to see what the intention behind it was, what the context was, but that's not the point. The point is, so many people take all these comments at absolute face value, and they take it to mean literal, and they take it as a sign that their leader is okay if they commit violence, if they go ahead and lynch somebody under the garb of Gau Raksha, and that is where the problem is. And I want all your comments on this, and just for one moment, completely put aside 2019, completely put aside all your political, the fact that you belong to a certain political party.
Location courtesy.
Ghanshyam Tiwari, let me come to you first on this point.
Well, I completely agree with you. The fact that when a politician makes a statement like this, media is going to carry it. And when there are too many statements, this statement will set a public discourse at a time when there is incomplete information. A lot of people do not have full information, full context to analyze it. And that is when sometimes the TV debates, in the last 2 years, we have seen 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. A lot of channels have just played Hindu-Muslim debates, which has led to further polarization and building of this propaganda that some party wanted to build. I am not using the name. But more importantly, the key is that you are setting the public debate on things that are indefensible, that do not have logic. They are political in nature, and they build animosity, anger, and that is why you see rumors, fake news, propaganda leading to mob lynching. And that is when you look at the government. That was my primary question. That when you are a victim of such a thing, who do you turn to? You turn to your elected government. And when you see your elected government giving a long leash, be it in parliament, when postcard news gets defended by the minister himself, or be it otherwise, one must ask question that what is the design that the elected government has? And that is where the entire breakdown happens.
All right, Geeta Bhatt, you wanted to come in as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, Avni, see, what is actually unfortunate is that how some of the political parties, they are for whatever unfortunate incidents that are taking place across the country. One thing which is important to note is that lynching has taken place in Assam. Very unfortunate death had taken place of 2 young people. It has happened in Maharashtra because of false news, fake news regarding child lifting taking in Tamil Nadu. Many places it has taken place. But my my objection is to that when there is a cherry picking of such incidences which is being taken place. Just the same day where this incident happened, next day in Barmer, very unfortunate, a Dalit youth was killed by the minority committee. But now, of course, Professor Chinoy will again say that I am saying a false
we do
news.
not cherry pick incidents. We report all incidents. So I completely disagree with that point you're making.
Rathore, in Pune, he was killed, but no one thought of debating that. I mean, what I'm trying to say, it is happening across the board. It is very unfortunate that some people on the panel are trying to label it.
That is not an excuse, Geeta Bhatt, that it's happening across the board. So it's okay if it happens with the garb of Gau Raksha as well.
This issue.
How is that an
look
excuse?
At it that the kind of no, it is not an excuse, but what I am trying to tell you is that these incidents are also there. Why they are not being discussed? Why aren't we talking about these incidents? I mean, that is what I am saying. The selective picking up of incidents. Why is that?
Geeta, but I completely disagree with you. There is absolutely no selective picking of incidents. We are talking about. We are not. This topic today is not lynching. The topic today is the insensitive and remarks that are made by leaders. So let's stick to what the topic is today. All right. Geeta Bhatt, I'm going to go across to Sanjay and Vaibhav Agarwal right now. Vaibhav Agarwal, on the point that I mentioned specifically, we are delving into the depths.
Sometime I'll get a chance also.
Yes, Kamal Mitra, I'm going to come to you next. Vaibhav Agarwal, the depth that we can keep going to and dissect conversations and comments, but the fact is majority of the people take things at face value.
Correct. You're absolutely right. And as I said, in my opinion, this is not right, because I see it from a multi-pronged approach. I see that if my downline, be it my family, be it my followers, be it everyone, they will all adhere to the name, to the style. They all idealize us. That's why we are called leaders. We will not be leaders otherwise. So we need to mend ourselves. When we dissect it, we also need to understand that our leaders are in a digital stage. Me, Sanjay Jha, Ghanshyam Tiwari, Dr. Datta, Mr. Chinoy, we are all learned people, we are all intellectuals. We can still understand what is the meaning of ranting, how to use WhatsApp, and how to be diligent on Twitter or on Facebook, etc., etc. We know what is the meaning of trolling, but most of the leaders probably, they come from a rural perspective.
I'm sorry, Vaibhav, that is not an excuse. You cannot say leaders don't understand how social media works. That just does not work. When any leader makes any comment, he is put into a power of corridor. He is put into that position. He is responsible for the kind of comments that he makes.
Organizations, I'm not trying to take an excuse here. I'm trying to find a solution here, that what is said, and a lot of stalwart leaders have also said something which is derogatory at some point in time. But who said what is whataboutery? My idea is to correct the way forward. When I say correct the way forward, one of the things that come to my mind is to perhaps collectively decide and form some kind of a awareness cell within the parliament or something like that, or each of our parties can do a communication cell, which can not media cell, which can a communication cell, which we can make them aware. Which we
Prime Minister himself has put a gag order on members of the BJP to stop making comments. It has not worked. Prime Minister himself has put a gag order.
Ghanshyam has said it correctly.
No, Vaibhav, the Prime Minister himself has put a gag order on members to not make ridiculous comments, and that has not worked. So I don't know how and when these cells that you're talking about are going to work, and that is all such a far-fetched theoretical answer that you're giving, that it's not going to make any difference, because we're seeing increasing number of instances happening every single day.
Well, our party is making a lot of difference.
All right, Sanjay Jha, you and then Kamal Mitra Chinoy.
A lot of difference. As I said, that we do not have habitual
offenders.
offenders.
Let me go to Sanjay Jha and then Kamal Mitra Chinoy. Yes, Sanjay Jha.
We do not have habitual offenders.
Avni, with due respects to Vaibhav, but I think it's very condescending to believe that we panelists speaking English on a very prime channel become intellectuals, and the people who are listening to the program in their homes, or the people who are on the streets fighting daily for their lives, aren't. I think that's condescending, and I think a little bit of political hubris there. The real story is,
that's not what I said.
Frankly,
I'm referring to the leaders.
Let Sanjay Jha finish.
No.
Please do not interrupt. We are all listening to each other. Let him finish.
I think what we need to recognize is this, and this is a simple truth. This is a country that is rich in its cultural diversity. This is a country that is a secular democracy. It's not just in constitution. We have lived like this for so many years. Suddenly we seem to be destroying it. That's the point. What people are asking today is, what's going on? I mean, I remember, Ghanshyamji and I have been in politics for a long time. You have been in media, I'm sure, for a long time. Why are people discussing lynchings day in and day out now? That's the question. I mean, this is the problem that we need to confront head on. You see, I think we need to understand this. There is a politics and people want power. But at what cost? I think the real fundamental question is at what cost. If you want power, nothing wrong with BJP and the Congress and other parties competing for power. We exist because we believe we have the ideas, and if we get power, we will govern it with our ideas. But if my governance model means that society has to be broken down, innocent people have to be killed, and we have to live in acute social tensions, I don't think this is the democracy that Gandhiji or Dr. Ambedkar wanted.
All right,
that is my
Kamal Mitra Chinoy, let me come to you first, and then we've got a caller as well. So Kamal Mitra Chinoy first.
Look, let's look back 5 years. 5 years ago, they were the same political parties. Broadly, they had the same positions. They would debate with others. Sometimes there would be sharp words, but we didn't have this kind of atmosphere. Yes. So how has this atmosphere come? I think it is our duty to figure out, and I think Vaibhav was trying to say that, why has this happened? Because it didn't happen before. The same political parties are there. Very often the same leaders are there. So I think there has to be an introspection, including by the media, including by intellectuals, including by others. And I think the first thing is that we must speak with a certain amount of respect to everyone, whether it be an ideological opponent, whether it be someone you think is not smart enough to deal with, and so on. And I think what has happened is that now there has become a competitive kind of action. That he said this, I'll say this plus one. No, I'll say this plus two, etc. So the kind of politics and its slump in just 5 years is frightening. And I think it is the responsibility of all of us to stop and block hate speech, to try and reason this out with people, and try and make this an easier kind of situation. Because Sanjay Jha has a point, the situation has worsened over time. And Vaibhav also concedes that there's a limit to how much he can do. Leaders should lead and will lead. But if leaders themselves are not being listened to by some other leaders or other groups, then it becomes much tougher. I don't think the system and the situation is irrevocable. It can be handled, but it has to be handled collectively with good sense and not but firing cheap shots or misusing political capital. The situation is very serious and we must treat it as so.
Absolutely, Kavinath, I wholeheartedly agree with you, and I think that's one of the most sensible things that I've actually heard today on this debate. Let's go across to Anant, who's calling us from Ajmer. Hi, Anant. Thank you for calling in. Go ahead. What would you like to say?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. And I just want to say that these things are happening on a daily basis. Day after day.
Yes.
And the comments and speeches, full of hatred, bigotry, and the sexist are mainly from BJP politicians. I was, back some days, reading a newspaper that 91% of the hate speech are from BJP politicians. So, I don't know whether it is their genuine feeling or their thought, or, they are doing it deliberately just to please, high command. And I certainly believe that, high command is really enjoying these things happening because, they are not taking any action against these people, these netas. And in the last, I just want to say that, politicians from BJP and the agenda of the BJP is that they certainly do not believe in the education, and that's the reason they elect uneducated netas so that they can pass these kind of comments on these things.
All right. Thanks, Anand, for calling us. Except one point of disagreement I have with you. It's not just the BJP; it's across party lines where we are seeing this kind of venom-filled comments that are coming out. So it's across party lines. We've got Vikram Singh from Delhi on the phone line. Hi, thank you for calling in. Go ahead. What would you like to say? Vikram Singh, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. Yes, I couldn't get the question. Please, could you repeat the question, please?
Yes, my question is about the kind of comments that we've been seeing from our leaders across the last few days. So many of them are filled with hate, they're filled with venom, and in an attempt to actually incite violence.
Where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise, as Shakespeare had said. I would say that our netas and our leaders are iconic. They are supposed to act and speak with responsibility and not without due care and caution. Every time there is an intemperate remark from you, it lets loose a chain reaction, a cascading effect that is detrimental to national security, communal harmony amongst various castes and communities. These motor-mouthed netas would be well advised to weigh their words before they speak out. I don't know what their compulsions are, but there are those who say that Hindus should have more than 5 children, those who say that the cow should be made not only the national animal, but should have a monument in every office building. I really don't know where they get their share of wisdom from. But what is not a part of the Constitution cannot be a part of public discourse also. Anything that spreads venom and hatred is just not acceptable. And I do hope our netas and our leaders respect the fact that the rule.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Vikram Singh. And those are some extremely pertinent points that Vikram Singh made with regard to the way this kind of venom and hate is spewed across. Yes, Ghanshyam Tiwari, very quick, we're completely running out of time.
Well, as a voice in opposition, I would say that this is not spontaneous. I see a design given the disproportionate nature of such comments coming from BJP and their response. Every BJP spokesperson has a few names, a few comments that they will repeat in some way to justify and offset what has been said. But the response of such statements on the ground that often BJP cadres give or BJP supporters give is disharmonious, and that makes me think that this is by design rather than by accident.
All right, I'm afraid we're completely out of time. I would like to thank all my guests
May I quickly say one point, Avni?
Yes,
that we are public
very
representatives, keepers of the Constitution. Anything that we say needs to be constitutional and nothing else.
Happy raho yaar. Don't get angry, don't get agitated. Vaibhav, I'm giving you a jadoo ki jhappi. I'm giving you a jadoo ki jhappi.
Totally.
Okay, no anger from our side.
All right, on that note, I am glad to see the smiles there, but I really appeal to our panelists today to please take into account what people in your party are saying, because it's so very important, and every word that you say is taken, we are told that you're reading too deeply into it and you're looking at it too deeply and too microscopically. But the fact is that is exactly how the voter views your words, your promises and everything that you say. So I sincerely appeal to every single person who is on the panel today and perhaps to communicate it to your respective parties that it is time to take serious action against every person who makes comments that spews hate, that incites violence, that leads people who are watching them and holding on to their every word to believe that it's okay to hate, and it's okay to be communal, and it's okay to be violent. It's not okay. And that is what only you can do, and only by taking strict action against netas who make these kind of comments is the only way that this can actually be stopped. Thank you for watching.